Hi everybody, Jared here with CasualCrusader.com, back again with another episode of Crackin' Packs. This time we've got a special episode, special because usually we're just cracking 3 packs, but today we've got a whole bundle of Aether Revolt. So let's dig into the whole package of what goes into a bundle. I've already taken the plastic off just to save some time. So from the side we've got the box of cards, and then there's this little cardboard box that you can just slide out. There's nothing in there. It's got a nice Planeswalker logo on it. Doesn't have anything in it, like I said, but you can hold on to those. I've got one currently. It's that same box, Planeswalker logo on the back. I've just got this with bulk rares and commons and stuff that I've been trading away on PucaTrade. So if you're on PucaTrade, make sure you fill out your wants, and if you've got any bulk rares or standard commons and uncommons, you might be getting an envelope from me. So surrounding that is this big cardboard sleeve, which I've seen people just throw these out before, which is a shame, because if you could take these apart, I can find the seam, there it is, at the bottom. I'll try to do this gently, not ripping it. There we go. If you take these apart, you get a nice seam with some magic art. Chandra's in there. Might be a Henny, just some other revolutionaries, but it's a nice panoramic art. You can put that on your shelf, on the wall, wherever you like it. But those are pretty cool, and a lot of people don't realize that and just throw those away. So also in there, you get this little player's guide, which will list. If I can open that up to the back, it'll show you. I mean, you can find this online, but it goes through and shows you every card in the set, which is just nice to have for a collector's standpoint. And it gives you a little bit of the story and a little bit of the details of what's happening on Kaladesh, particularly in the Aether Revolt story. And then perhaps I'll go over this in a different video, but usually somewhere in there, if I can find it. Well, I won't look for it, but it's usually in there. They do a what they think are going to be the top 10 coolest cards of the set. So I might go through that in a different video and see if I agree or disagree with what they've got in there. Usually there's some good ones, but they're not always playable. So once you open up the box, pop comes off. Got this nice little divided box, if you can see that. So we've got this little plastic package here. This is just a pack of basic lands. Really nice to have when you're drafting. I usually just keep them in the plastic, sealed up, open them whenever I need them. Usually for drafting, or if you go to a sealed tournament and need a couple lands, those are always nice to have in your bag. You get a spin down die. I've got a black one with the Aether Revolt symbol. Can never have too many dice. I've got a good dozen surrounding my desk. For newer players, these bundles are a nice way to build a collection. And also, with the bundle, there's this little insert in case you need it. How to play, parts of a turn, breaks down all the main phases and attack phases and steps. Other side is how to cast spells, which usually most people investing enough money to buy a bundle usually know how to play Magic. But if you're new and just trying to build a collection, bundles are a good way to do it, and it comes with the quick reference guide, which can be helpful. So inside that bundle, and the reason I bought one, is the 10 booster packs. They used to call these fat packs, which only had 9 packs of cards. They've added a 10th one and changed the name to a bundle. I'm not really sure why they did that, but it's nice to have that 10th pack. Sometimes when you're buying these, what I like to do is when they have the 9 booster pack fat packs, was just buy an extra 3 packs. You can do 1 versus 1 sealed with a friend. Now that they come with 10, maybe you only buy 2 extras and do a sealed, or you could do a mini sealed and just do 5 versus 5. But now that we've checked out what's in the box, we've got our 10 packs. Let's go ahead and open them up. So in these, or with this whole video series, we are looking for the Masterpiece Series cards. Love getting foils. We had a few foils before, nothing amazing. So here's a basic land, and this should be our rare. There we go. Heroic Intervention. Permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Good way to save your planeswalkers and your creatures from removal. The indestructible clause is also really nice because you can cast that and then just attack in with everybody without fear of your creatures dying. So let's take a look. We got 3 uncommons. There we are. Gonti's Machinations. Played that in the pre-release. Didn't do too well with it, but it's a pretty sweet card, especially in Commander multiplayer. Each opponent loses 3 life, and you gain life equal to the number equal to life lost this way. So the more players, the more life you gain. Ridge Scale Tusker is awesome and limited. I don't think it's quite good enough for standard, but putting a counter on each other creature is pretty awesome. It's already a 5/5 for 5, and growing your team is a really nice effect. We've got Hidden Stockpile. Enchantment Revolt gives you extra servos. You can sacrifice servos to scry, and sacrificing the servos or any creature again will trigger revolt, so you kind of just keep replacing them, cycling through them to scry. Let's take a real quick look through these commons. In later packs, as we go through these, we might not even look at the commons, but for these early packs, might as well see if there's anything good. Nothing particularly amazing. Scoop those up. Pack number 2. Start from the back. Nice gremlin token. Basic land is a forest. Alright, let's see the rare. Not a rare, we've got a foil. Daring Demolition, destroy target creature or vehicle. It's a nice foil. Probably not standard playable, or probably won't find a home in a commander deck or anything like that. But a lot of the pros are saying that this is one of the best commons in the set. Unconditional removal and the ability to destroy vehicles is a huge help. Alright, so let's see the rare. Secret Salvage. Exile a non-land. Sorry, let me adjust the light. Exile target non-land card from your graveyard. Search your library for any number of cards with the same name as that card. Reveal them and put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. So there's 2 uses for this that I can think of off the top of my head. One would be in standard, if you wanted to try the Hedron Alignment deck. Hedron Alignment's an enchantment where, let me think, you win the game if you have 1 in play, 1 in your hand, 1 in your graveyard, and 1 in exile. So this would exile 1 and put the rest in your hand, so you can kind of work with them and get them where you need them to be. The other thing you could do with this, and it's on color, is the Shadowborn Apostle deck in Commander. You can play any number of Shadowborn Apostles in a deck that you want. So you can exile 1 and basically put your whole deck in your hand. They're only 1/1s, but you can sacrifice them to search for demons, which is pretty powerful. Alright, so let's see our 3 uncommons. Another Gonti's Machinations. Narnam Renegade. 1 mana, Death Touch, which is really nice. If you get that Revolt, it's a little extra boost, a little extra bonus for you, but the 1 power with Death Touch will usually almost always trade up with something bigger. Sly Requisitioner, improvised card, which is a cool new mechanic. Whenever a non-token artifact you control is put into the graveyard, you get a servo. So then you can tap the servos to improvise casting other cards. Alright, so again, we'll go through these pretty quickly. And we'll stop if there's anything noteworthy or anything particularly cool. But nothing of note in there. Pack number 3. Alright, starting from the back. Servo token. Basic land. This will be our rare or a foil if we're lucky. There we go. Barald's Expertise. Return up to 3 artifacts and or creatures to their owner's hand. And you can cast a card that costs 4 or less without paying for it. Excuse me. So that's one that's pretty sweet. 5 is a little expensive, and I would love it a lot more if it was instant speed, but the tempo you gain from bouncing 3 things and casting a free spell with it as well is a pretty good deal. I haven't seen this played in Standard much, but I can definitely find a home for that in a Commander deck. 3 uncommons. Restoration Specialist returns an artifact or enchantment from your graveyard to your hand. Cogwork Assembler creates copies of artifacts. Perilous Predicament. Each opponent sacrifices an artifact creature and a non-artifact creature. Again, spells that say each opponent are usually better in Commander because you can kill multiple things with it. But I guess it depends on what your buddies are playing. If there's a lot of artifact creatures going around in your commander circle, then this could be worth consideration. If not, the 5 mana is a little expensive, and you might be better with just a targeted removal spell, or even, oh, I can't think of the name of them now, but there's a couple of 3 mana black creatures, and they come in, each player sacrifices a creature, a little cheaper than that spell, and you get the creature off it as well. So commons, there we are, Decommission, there's our commons. Alright. This is number 4, I think. Starting from the back. Energy Reserve, keep track of your energy counters. Basic lands. Let's see our rare or foil. It is a rare. And we've got Shram, Senior Edificer. Whenever you cast an aura, equipment, or vehicle spell, draw a card. He's seeing a bunch of play right now, even some in Modern, where you can play a lot of artifacts, I guess specifically equipment. That costs 0 or 1, and you can just cycle through your deck and play out basically everything you've got. If you want to try that in Commander, white doesn't usually get a lot of draw, so this guy, he can be really good and draw you a lot of cards in white. I've played a Daxos Commander deck that plays a lot of auras and equipment, doesn't have any vehicles yet. But he'll probably find a home in there just because he plays so well with equipment. Alright, let's do the 3 uncommons. Treasure Keeper. When it dies, you get to cascade for something that costs 3 or less. Again, this is a nice commander card, in my opinion anyway, just because it replaces itself in value, and you can get, with the colorless cost, you can play it in any deck, so that's a nice one. Barrack Breaker, Improvise, and Thopter Arrest. When it enters the battlefield, exile an artifact or creature an opponent controls until Thopter Arrest leaves the battlefield. So basically Oblivion Ring, but the targets are a little more specific. And our commons, adjust that on the camera. Negate's always playable. The only other one I'll point out there was, where is it? Natural obsolescence is seen in some sideboards. Put an artifact on the bottom of its owner's library. That combats scrap heap scrounger because you keep coming back out of the graveyard, but it's a little tougher to get off the bottom of the library. So it's a nice in the sideboard. Should be number 5 if I'm counting correctly. And we've got a little preview for Amonkhet with nickel bolus horns in the background. April 28th. I'm looking forward to the pre-release big time for that one. That should be an awesome set. No cards spoiled yet, but the art that they've shown for it is pretty cool. So we've got an Ethereum Cell token. Sacrifice it, add 1 of any color to your mana pool. Similar to a gold token from Theros block. Alright, and we should have basic land. And here's our rare or foil. That's, how about that, foil rare. Midnight Entourage, other Aetherborns you control get +1/+1. When this guy or another Aetherborn you control dies, you draw a card and lose 1 life. Lords are always playable. At least in limited. I'm sure somewhere out there's somebody who's trying to do an Aetherborn tribal commander deck with Yahenni maybe as the commander. And this is probably, as a foil, they're probably going to want this guy, so it might be a good trade. Personally, I don't plan on building an Aetherborn tribal deck. You never know when you'll see that race again, but it probably won't be here for a while. It's not a common one in Magic lore, but it's a nice foil. Alright, let's see our non-foil rare. Glint Sleeve Siphoner. Gets you energy, has menace, and you can pay energy to draw a card and lose a life. So those two, Glint Sleeve Siphoner and the Midnight Entourage, play really well together, drawing you a bunch of cards for a little bit of life. Alright, let's see our 3 uncommons, see if they play well with those two as well. We've got Shielded Aether Thief, good blocker. That's seeing some sideboard play to block against aggressive decks and get you a little bit of energy. Especially in the blue-red or Teamer Dynavolt Tower decks. Another Thopter Arrest, the Oblivion Ring for artifacts and creatures, and a Consulate Dreadnought. Cheap artifact, cheap vehicle, but it costs 6 to crew. So we've got our commons, we've got a Wrangle, which I like Wrangle as just an alternate act of treason. It's a little cheaper, so it's just gives you that same effect at a lower rate, which can be nice when you want to play, especially something like in Commander where you want to have as many active treason decks as you can, or active treason effects as you can if you were playing some sort of thievery, stealing stuff themed deck. So let's check our token, their energy reserve. We'll check our basic land. Nice plains. Alright, let's see our rare. We got a foil. Foil basic land. It's a nice looking one. I've said this before, I think, in one of the videos. The art, with all the kind of swooping and, for lack of a better word, Aether flow, how it affects the land and the creatures and everything, makes for some really nice land art, particularly when they're foil. In this case, that's a nice basic land. Alright, let's see our rare. Oath of Ajani. Ajani has joined the Gatewatch. Until all have found their place, Ajani is keeping watch. Planeswalkers cost less when you put a counter. You put a counter on each creature you control when you cast the Oath. So it's a nice one. Oath of Ajani turn 2, turn 3 Gideon, or any number of 4 mana Planeswalkers you can cast a turn early. Really good card. And it's nice that it boosts your creatures too to help them block and defend your Planeswalkers too. See those uncommons. Got Invigorated Rampage, Salvage Scuttler, Enraged Giant. And the commons, Shock. Now that's definitely a common that I'm going to set aside because that's one that is definitely standard playable and one that you definitely want a full playset of. Take into custody. Unbridled Growth, I'll pause on that for a minute. Just because it mana fixes, you can sacrifice it and draw a card so it replaces itself, and more importantly that sacrificing can be done at any time, so you can trigger Revolt with that easily. We've got an Implement and another Implement. Alright, we got 4 packs left to go. Odds are against us that we'll crack a Masterpiece, but odds should be pretty good that we get a mythic rare. Usually, I think the odds are like 1 in 6 packs of cards, maybe. So let's see if this pack is the one. Gremlin token. This will be our basic land. Forest. Alright, here's our rare or foil. Got a rare. And it is a legend, Yahenni. So we got Yahenni and SRAM as legends from Aether Revolt. It's got haste. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a counter on it. Sacrifice another creature. Yahenni gains indestructible until end of turn. If you follow our Casual Commander video series, I'm working on editing a game we just played with Alara block commanders, and I played Kresh the Bloodbraided, who has a similar effect. His is a little more broad. It's when any creature dies, so it can be one of your own. He gets counters equal to its power. He's a Jund commander, red, black, and green. So if you open that up and are just playing it in Alara block, Yahenni goes really nicely on that deck as a sacrifice outlet, which gives her, excuse me, not her, Aetherborn, our genderless, but it gives Yahenni indestructible and pumps up Kresh at the same time, and then those decks tend to play a lot of removal, which can pump Yahenni and Kresh, so they have a really nice synergy together. And then in black and green, you can play a couple of effects that manipulate the counters on the two of them, and I think they would play really well in a deck together, which might be something that I'll try someday. So definitely, if you haven't seen it before, check out our Casual Commander series, and that Alara block game that I just mentioned will be up soon. Another Gonti's Machinations, another Narnaeum Renegade, and Siege Modification. So that Dreadnought that I was talking about that is cheap to cast, but a lot to crew. There's the Siege Modification, as long as it's enchanted permanent, it's a vehicle, it's a creature. So you can play that guy on turn 1, and then load it up with one of these on turn 3 and attack for a lot of damage. Even gives it first strike and an extra 3/0. It's just a couple of effects like that. Feels very much like a combo deck where you need the right pieces of vehicles and the right ways to turn them on without crewing them. But it's definitely a deck that you could do, and a cool one in my opinion, but I don't know how successful it is. Let's see what we got for commons quickly. Nothing too noteworthy there. But Yahenni was a nice card to open in that pack. We've got 3 more. From the back, you guys know the drill by now. Got the other art on the servo token. Got our basic land, a mountain. And we'll have our foil or rare. Quicksmith Spy. You can give a target artifact the ability to tap and draw a card for as long as you control Quicksmith Spy. Not a spectacular rare, so we'll keep moving. Got 3 uncommons. Outland Boar, 4/4 for 4, tough to block. It's decent, not amazing in limited. Monstrous Onslaught, deals X damage divided as among any number of creatures, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Any way to deal damage in green is nice. Removal is always good to have limited. Another hidden stockpile, that's the one that lets you kind of cycle your servos to keep scrying. And for commons, there we go. The only one I saw there that might be playable is the Scrounging Bandire. It's another card that plays well with counters, and also lets you move those counters to pump up another creature, which also kills the Bandire, but that allows you to trigger Revolt whenever you want to. So it gives you a little bit of flexibility there. Alright, we got 2 left. Let's see our mythic. Hopefully we've got one in here. Servo token. Basic land. Let's see the rare. There we go. Consulate Crackdown. Let me adjust the light. There we go. When it enters the battlefield, exile all artifacts your opponents control until Consulate Crackdown leaves the battlefield. Sideboard against the Mardu Vehicles deck. But it's kind of unfortunate that this can be removed. It'd be nice if it was just for 5 mana. If you just got a regular artifact board wipe, I think that would that'd be a reasonable card at 5, maybe sorcery. But we've got a way it can be dealt with. But when you need to deal with vehicles and artifacts, that's the go-to. So we've got a Treasure Keeper, Lifecraft Awakening, and Spire Patrol. Commons, we've got another Shock. Like I said, Shock's a good common to have for standards. Unbridled Growth is good. That's all the good stuff we got in that pack. So we've got one last pack here. Let's hope this has a nice mythic for us, or a good rare at least. This has been a pretty good bundle so far. So we've got a Servo, Basic Island. All right, let's see the rare or mythic. Hopefully mythic. And it is a rare Aether Harvester. I've seen this in sideboards again to combat Mardu vehicle decks, or even in the Mardu vehicle decks. The 5 toughness blocks Heart of Kiran, so it's a pretty good effect, and the life gain, the life link you can get off that is nice to come back against those aggressive decks. So let's see what we've got for uncommons. Ironclad Revolutionaries, Hidden Herbalists, and another Perilous Predicament. Go through the commons quickly. And there you have it. So, no mythics, still a pretty good box. We got a SRAM, we got Yahenni, we got a foil planes, which is pretty good. Like I said, no mythics, which is too bad. No masterpieces, which we weren't expecting, but can always hope. No masterpieces, but we got some good rares out of it. We've got plenty of bulk for trading on Puka Trade. We've got this Aether Revolt Player's Guide, which I'll go through with you guys in another video. And don't forget to check us out on Twitter, on Facebook, casualcrusader.com. And if you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment below. If you are in need of any of those uncommons or standard commons that I just opened, leave a comment on the YouTube video, and maybe I'll send you some.